It is the opening round of matches of the Champions League. It's Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday this week. So if you take a look at Tuesday's game, some interesting ties. Spurs against Villarreal, Real Madrid taking on Marseille, Juve, Dortmund, Benfica against Karabakh, PSV taking on Union and Athletic Club taking on Arsenal.
Oh, Europa League this week?
Sorry.
Europa League on Thursday?
I don't think so, Craig.
Sorry, I just
interrupt my...
You just love your Europa League.
Mark is in Spain and went to the press conference with Arteta ahead of this game.
You're getting a lot of questions about winning the Champions League, and understandably it's the start of the season, but Arsenal are probably the biggest club that's never won it. Is there a pressure that you feel with that, because Liverpool won it multiple times, Man United, Chelsea? You want to win it, obviously, but how important is it to win that first one for Arsenal?
Well, that tells you, with our long history, how difficult it is, because we haven't won it yet, and that's the opportunity. That's how I see it. You know, the pressure is the opportunity that thrives, that energy, that willingness to be better every single day, to make decisions that are in that direction, and every decision. Then, if we win not that much, every decision has to be with that standards and with those expectations, and let's give our best chance to try to do it.
And do you feel that going close actually helps? I mean, you worked with Pep Guardiola at Man City for a few years when they were knocking on the door. Does that disappointment ultimately help you get over the line?
Yeah, and the big clubs, I mean, they try 7, 8, 9 times, they win 2. So in this competition, it's going to be 1, and you fail much more than you succeed. That's the nature of that. That's the history of our club, and that's what we want to change.
Arsenal go into this game, Oggy, off the back of that victory against Forest, but it was the key players within that win, I think, that will give Arsenal fans a lot of optimism going into the start of the season. Of course, Eze, we saw what Zubimendi did, Gyökeres, Madueke, all new signings, and all were key to show that even without Odegaard, obviously went out early, and without Saka, Arsenal aren't quite reliant on those big stars as much as they have been in the past.
Yeah, I think that's the point. There's no sense of panic about Arsenal. Arsenal are playing right now. You would definitely expect them to get a result out here in Spain. And, you know, they were really stung by what happened against PSG in the semi-final last season. And we know that Arteta probably went over the top by saying that Arsenal were the best team in the competition. But they did run them close in the end. And I think they think that this time they can go that extra step. But obviously, you've got a lot of big clubs. Liverpool, PSG, Real Madrid will have the same ideas. But Arsenal really look like a team that can now go all the way.
I thought Madueke's performance for England and Serbia really did him a power of good. You know, not that he was lacking any belief, but just his all-round performance. England's performance as well, but some of those players, you know, Rodgers, Madueke, the way that he ran in behind, the way that he ran at defenders, I think it's just going to give him, and has given him, a lot of confidence. He's one of, and Stevie's talked about this, he's one of the most kind of old, a little bit of a throwback, is that he doesn't want to come inside all the time. I mean, he will do, but he wants to drive at fullbacks. You don't really see that much anymore. Maybe Mo Salah, actually, we're talking about him, is one that likes to take the ball for a dribble. Madueke is like that. And it's difficult. We saw him giving Kerkez a difficult time at Anfield. Kerkez stood up reasonably well in the end. This side is good enough to win the Champions League and the Premier League. This squad, not side, it's squad, because it's going to be a squad game. There is absolutely no doubt it is good enough to win both competitions. Maybe not in the same year, but they haven't done it. They haven't done it. You know, other Arsenal sides have in the Premier League, and that's what we've talked about. That Mikel Arteta has the tools, and he's been given the tools to get the job done. And I think that's where Oggy was going with the questioning, is like, you know, is there a pressure? There has to be a pressure. Sure. And I think the pressure's more in England in terms of the Premier League than it is the Champions League. I don't think there's a doubt about that. There is more. My opinion is there is more of a pressure for Arteta to get over the line in England, and be it over Man City or Liverpool, whoever it is, than there is to win the Champions League, as good as that would be. I think England are the nuts and bolts for him. They are good enough to do both, but in my opinion, this team will not believe in itself that it can do it until it wins the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think it goes out and wins the Premier League, this squad, before it wins the Champions League. And I think once it does that, if it does that, it can power forward. But there's no doubt the squad is good enough to win these competitions, but they have not done it.
But I think the narrative's changed a little bit, hasn't it? Like, if they were without Odegaard and without Saka just last season, I'd be sat going, can they get a result in Bilbao? Can they get it done? Yeah. But we now know that the people they've brought in means that you aren't crying. You aren't going, oh, but look at the injuries, look at what you're doing. They've kind of addressed the positions they needed to.
I think the narrative has changed because the expectation continues to grow with each passing season. That they haven't won the league or more to the point, the Champions League. I'm certainly with Craig that I'm thinking that the league certainly has to be Arsenal's bread and butter. And to Augie's question about the big clubs who've won the Champions League, as much as this is a Champions League week, all those clubs, the Cities, the Liverpools, the Chelseas, have won their domestic league and have built on that. And while yes, Liverpool won it without winning the league, and in that spell, I think the expectation certainly is a little bit different for Arsenal. And they expect to bolster the squad and to address their issues. And so, again, with each passing season, with each passing nearly miss for Arsenal, that pressure grows with Mikel Arteta. And I have to hold my hand up and listen, I've been very critical of Gyökeres so far this season. I thought while Madueke was absolutely outstanding against Forest, I thought Gyökeres taking of that goal from the ball from Eze was exactly what Arsenal need and have been missing. Now I maintain some of my criticisms around Gyökeres.
Stubborn.
But that was a striker's finish. That was a striker's finish that Arsenal had been missing for quite some time.
The deficiencies of Kai Havertz in that position. And of course, I do believe when fit, Kai Havertz is a very good squad player. He is. He is, but they needed somebody. Now, whether Gyökeres is going to be the answer, we'll find out at the end of the season. But he was where a striker should be. And you may think, well, that's a simple tap-in. It is, but you have to be there. You have to be in the right position. You have to make the right runs. If you go back and ask Liverpool fans when they were winning the Champions Leagues, but not the Premier League, that was great. Celebrations, great achievements, but they wanted the Premier League, didn't they? 30 years or and it's been over 20 for Arsenal. And so these things are great. Of course they are. These flagship tournaments and events and the gravitas. But Arsenal are striving to be back in the top of the tree in England. As much as they want to have a great Champions League season, and there's no reason why they shouldn't, their nemesis is Liverpool, City, Chelsea, and all these other teams that have won. Leicester City have won it, the Premier League. This Arsenal side, in the last 20 years, have failed to do so. They're in pole position to go and get the job done this year. But that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?